Welcome back, everybody. It's a brand new episode of Pop Cannon. This is episode 74. We are your hosts. My name is Jordan.
I'm Robert.
I am Joe.
Paul here. Everyone.
I'm Vengeance.
Today we are discussing The Batman. So if you have not seen the new film directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, and various others, go check the movie out. Come back and listen to this episode because we are going to dive headfirst into everything we liked about it, everything we didn't like about it.
Major spoilers ahead.
Yeah, and if you guys would like to, stick around. We do this all the time. Every other week, usually. So make sure you subscribe on your podcast platform or subscribe on YouTube. Robert, you just recently saw it, so why don't you lead us all off with your initial thoughts on The Batman?
I thought it was a really good Batman movie. Really good. I was very entertained. I was very wrapped up in the story that they were telling. And I enjoyed a lot more of it than I anticipated enjoying. I went in with no to low expectations, and I feel like my expectations were definitely subverted from what I was anticipating. But I really liked it. What did you think, Joe?
I really fucking love this. I think it's not without its thorns, but I don't think anything is in these days. I thought this was a really wild Batman movie where they kept all of the cartoony bullshit that is Batman, and it's really just stuffed to the brim with Batman references, but they build the world of Gotham and just let the story progress through it instead of it being it doesn't feel like a cameo when there's a cameo. It feels like It's part of the story. Yeah, I really loved the cinematography. Even the scenes that were dark at least showed they made good use of silhouettes and different lighting elements. I thought the score was fucking fantastic. And most of the performances, besides a couple key ones that I think we'll talk about, really did blow me away. Even the random cartoony cops were fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really had a good time. And as he said, I really went in with no expectations. I feel like I didn't see anything about this besides the posters and the first trailer. And I didn't know what to expect, but I really had an awesome time with this movie. Paul, what'd you think?
So I went into it with very low expectations, personally, because I was basing it off of what I had seen, and I do not like the way a lot of the characters look, specifically, design-wise. But I ended up really liking the movie. I agree with Joe, the score is amazing. There are some really awesome shots. I think Robert Pattinson worked, and I really wasn't expecting him to. I gotta say, I thought they were gonna go a very severe, nihilist route with it, but they don't at the end. They really don't, and I really liked that. It feels this is a Batman movie. Good,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you're gonna make a superhero movie where it's like that, then you just do The Punisher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is Batman. You know what I mean? There's got to be a little morsel of hope. I thought there were a lot of cute scenes that I wasn't expecting, the scene with Bruce and Alfred in the hospital, the scene at the very end where he's driving away on the motorcycle and he's looking in the rear view. And it's oh, that's cute. You know what I mean? I really liked those small, subtle touches. Overall, I think it's just a really good movie.
Yeah.
Passing it to Jordan.
As far as my thoughts, I was conflicted. I had very low expectations going into this, and it was mostly concerns about the use of the character and the future of the franchise going forward. My problem with this film lies purely in the fact that it is year 2 and they continuously beat us over the head with the fact that it's year 2. And I understand that where we wind up at the end sets us up going forward for like a more traditional Batman, but they didn't give us that here. And I don't know, I really liked it, but where it falls on my like Batman movie scale, I still don't know yet. It's definitely not at the bottom.
Yeah.
But I can't put it at the top, and
Somebody else already secured that.
I wanted this movie to blow me away and like really impress me, and I didn't walk away feeling that way.
Huh.
Well, I mean, so as far as it like where it ranks among other Batman movies, I think is conversations that people have that like that. I don't know that it necessarily matters, and why do we have to have that conversation like 2 days after it came out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, can we all kind of chew on it for a minute and see how we like the taste? Like, it was really entertaining and sets up wonderfully for the future, I feel like. But like, we don't have to try to figure out where it goes yet. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everybody, a lot of the discourse I saw Thursday night coming out of it was it's the greatest fucking Batman movie of all time. And that made me uncomfortable going into it.
Yeah.
That really made me look like so many people said that I was like, I don't like this. I don't like where this is headed.
No, I'm right there with
Don't give
you.
me
I
hope.
feel the same way.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, I guess I get where they're coming from to a certain extent, because a lot of the talk was like, finally Detective Batman,
Yeah.
which to me is like kind of annoying. But there was a lot of detective work in it, and until they revealed that he was wearing a contact lens that was recording everything, I was really almost about to be super pissed, because I thought he was just like gonna have a photographic memory or something. I was like, is he really just fucking looking at things and remembering them? Like, he's like, is that really where we're gonna go with this? He's like idiot
savant level.
Like, he just stares at a crowd. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a TV. That's like 7 TV shows on CBS right now. Like, we don't have to go that route. And then they didn't, which made me feel good. I was like, okay, thank fucking Christ. And it's cool that it's a gadget. I love that.
Yeah.
That was to me one of the coolest things, even in like the open of the movie, where we get like voiceover of him talking, writing his journal. I want to say that I hate that as a decision, because I feel like doing voiceover off screen is like not creative. However, it's the first Batman movie to give you Bruce's inner monologue like you're reading a comic book.
It's also
and
very
that made
noir.
me really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that too, because it's obviously it's very comic book like, but I don't know if I necessarily liked the actual words, like all the, because it seemed very like. Do you remember the Community episode where Albert is Batman and he does that pretty much the same monologue from? That's what it made me think of.
That's the thing though. Like, that's how Batman is. Like, he's a little edgelord.
It's that like cornerstone to the character, I feel like, to say what was said there.
Right.
So while it's not the origin, you're still getting all of like the bread and butter tropes for him to be able to be established. I feel like.
I was worried like at the beginning that I was going to be very turned off, because he was very much like the things I don't like about Batman, of being like, you know, like edgy and dark and all in his head. But I felt like they like convinced me of why he's that way, and then also called him out against being that way by the end. And
Yes.
like, not even like before they had like called him out on that, but like by the middle of the movie, like I was on board with him.
Yeah.
And I was just like very, like, whether or not I agree with him, I was definitely intrigued about where the story was going. But like, so much stuff about like the like year 2 aspect. Like, I know we saw the haircut in the trailers and everybody was like, why does he look so fucking ugly? But I like that they like justified that, like, he's not taking care of himself. He's not being Bruce. Like, he's living in the suit. So like, why would he ever go get a haircut? He doesn't give a shit about appearances right now. And like I really felt like all the stuff that most of the stuff we were nervous about was really justified within the world of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the decision to make him basically like, I'm going to give up being Bruce. I was not necessarily a fan of that because of the fact that it just doesn't feel like Batman to me.
But I liked that it was a conflict of like Alfred being like, you need to be Bruce. Like, as much as you want Batman to be a symbol, the Wayne name is a symbol that you need to occupy. And I like that he had to reconcile with that by the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he like initially doesn't give a shit about representing his name in any one way or whatever. And then towards the middle of the movie, when it's revealed that all of this shit with Thomas Wayne is about to come out, suddenly he's like, I've got to take up for my name. And I was like, hey, wait a second.
Well,
Bro,
you
you didn't care.
I think when his parents died, he was like, they died like well in people's minds. And he was like, I don't think he felt he could do anything to add to that.
If anything he's going to do is going to ruin it.
There's that small detail of him not wanting to take the cufflinks, but then he eventually just takes them. It's like that, like I mentioned before with the scene with them in the hospital, like they had him put on this facade like he doesn't care, but really he does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It seems like he was putting up a front to say that he didn't care, but he really did.
Yeah. He's just pushing people away for the sake of that, because that's something like human beings do.
Yeah.
I do like the characterization when he was Bruce. It's when he was Batman that I was kind of like, I don't know if I like the decisions that he's making and the choices and the conversations that he's been having with people.
But that also supports like that he's an anti-hero in this, and he is doing the wrong things. Yeah. And he like has to like face that by the end, that like the way he's been trying to do it is not the way to do it. And then like it's about becoming a hero, which I think is really cool for like an origin story.
Yeah.
But it's not a full origin because it's year 2. Don't forget.
After my showing, there was a lady that stood up next to me, and she was older. And she straight up said to like her family, like, well, at least we didn't have to see the pearls drop again. And it made me roll my eyes.
Almost everybody that I've talked to have said, there's no death scene or something about it. Almost everyone.
And I think the thing is, God damn it, dude. The thing about not having the death scene is that they still devoted time to the Wayne's death.
Right.
So you don't get away from it at all.
You can't.
So, no, and I agree, but I don't think that. I hate that people are making it sound like he fucking recreated the wheel by not showing it when he still had to devote time in his script to writing out what happened.
Right.
It's so stupid to me.
Yeah, like you're claiming it's a positive that this movie didn't visually show you something. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. So I can't.
To that point, don't you think that this might have benefited from seeing it just to make you connect a little bit more with him?
Well, there's not a lot of external flashbacks. Like even the like archival stuff is shown through like real archival video through like the newscast. So, like I don't think it would have fit with the way they were telling the story.
Right. No, I get that.
And I really didn't feel the absence of that scene. Like I know you guys are like mostly just saying it because you've heard other people saying that.
Yeah.
The most I've heard is the joke that like it implies they died in 2001, so there's every possibility that they took him to see Shrek.
Someone else said the timeline wouldn't match up. It might be Monsters Inc.
Yeah, but that's not as funny.
And but that's right after 9/11 too. So think of the trauma, really.
Exactly,
like
it wasn't the movie we wanted, but it
was the movie we needed right then.
Going into this movie, if we knew that Batman was going to infiltrate the Iceberg Lounge, would anyone have expected for him to just go up to the fucking front door? Now, I thought that would be something that I wouldn't like.
Yeah.
But I think the way that they did it in this movie works so fucking well. They really do a good job at making him seem like he's not necessarily a hero. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well,
He's,
even like the people he saves are like, please don't hurt me. They think he's just another guy out for something.
well, but that you might see in another Batman movie. I think maybe that might have happened before. But walking up to the front door of a place and just being like, I need to do this. Let me in and do this. And then they're like, no. And he's like, okay. Now this is going to happen.
But he goes in there twice, though. He goes in there as Bruce first, right?
But he has the same line. He says, "Do you know who I am?" Both times.
Yes.
Yeah. But does he go in as, I don't remember specifically, does he go in as Bruce first or Batman first?
Batman first.
Batman, then Bruce, and then the third time he goes back and just sneaks in.
Yeah.
Right.
But like I love the circular like him saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And the guy at the door like clearly kind of checking him the second time, like, this feels similar. You can tell on his face that that's what he was thinking.
Yeah,
I
like
really
he's
like
having
that.
deja vu.
Yeah. And like, dude, that I feel like for sure for me, the Iceberg Lounge stuff was my favorite sequence of the movie. For sure. Because it really like took off at a moment that the movie needed to take off.
Which
And
one do you
kept
mean?
going.
When he first went to talk to Penguin?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
when Batman goes there, it's like it's needed at that point in the movie, and it was so fucking cool. And I did see I have seen the everybody's comparing it to like all of the different stuff, but I definitely got the Arkham vibe from it. Like Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, more than I think any of the other things that might have influenced it. For me, I think those games are probably the heaviest influence into the film.
I still have to play those, so I trust you.
I've been playing Arkham City since I came home from the movie.
Nice.
So
It just got that vibe to it. That's really what it felt like.
that entire sequence from that point on, like Joe said in his intro, like it helped build the world of Gotham.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like a setting like that, being under that underpass in the pouring rain, seeing it, like seeing those words, the Iceberg Lounge, like it
Yeah.
looked so cool. And like visually it reminded me of the animated series a lot too. So I could definitely appreciate that. I loved the aesthetic of the Iceberg Lounge, and was pleasantly surprised at how much I actually enjoyed Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Because
Unrecognizable.
I thought I was going to absolutely hate his version of that character,
Yeah.
but I wound up like really enjoying it. I thought he
Yeah.
was hilarious.
Yeah.
From the moment that it gets revealed that he has that accent, I was like, wow. Like before the movie, like going into it, I was like, wow, where is this going?
Right.
Where does it go? Like, why? You know? But Colin Farrell was great as Penguin. I feel like that's a really sort of like a character defining performance, and what we're probably going to get from him in HBO Max is really going to take off for that character. I think is probably going to cement for a while what he does and how he is and what he looks like and all of that. I love that they took his nickname from Telltale.
Yeah.
I love that because I don't think that prior to Telltale calling Oswald Cobblepot Oz, I don't think it happened a lot.
No.
Yeah. So I think I could definitely see a lot of the Telltale influence in this
Yeah.
movie as well.
Yeah. A lot with Catwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Catwoman stuff, all of the stuff with Falcone felt very
Yeah.
similar to that.
Yeah.
Along with the Long Halloween, he's revealed to be her
Oh, I
father.
forgot. Okay.
And that she also scratches his face in
Yep.
that as well. So like that was a cool callback.
Yeah. I love how like Penguin wasn't like a main villain either. He was just like an ancillary character.
Bringing him in as an ancillary character. And that's the thing that, like, I don't understand why a lot of other things don't do that, because
Yeah.
it's so possible to have them all exist at the same time.
Right.
You're stupid for not including those kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have a character that has to do that anyway. You might as well use somebody that's purposeful in the future.
Which
yeah.
it almost feels like Matt Reeves, that's kind of what he's trying to do. He's trying
Yeah.
to build a Batman universe
Yeah,
in
yeah.
which everyone's there. It's the MCU, but just Batman.
Yeah. I mean, Batman has enough villains and enough characters to do that with.
Yeah.
So.
As we saw.
Well, so here's the problem, though. This was the same problem with the Christopher Nolan movies. Is at a certain point you reach a roadblock where you run out of villains.
Yeah.
Because unless Poison Ivy's just somebody who likes plants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the grounded nature of it really hamstrings Batman villains after a certain point.
Exactly.
For sure.
You can bring back ones that have been done before.
Can you do Clayface in this universe? No.
I mean, it really just depends.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
It's also very funny that, like, everything feels so grounded in this movie except for Batman. Like, he's the most foreign feeling part of the movie.
I agree. Yeah.
So I do want to say I have two gripes, but they happened in the same scene.
Okay.
And it's when Bruce puts on the flying squirrel costume.
Okay.
Hated it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that.
No. So I didn't mind doing the flying squirrel.
Okay.
My issue is the GoPro shot.
Yes.
Okay.
Throw it out, bro.
I loved every other time they like locked a GoPro onto something except for that shot. It was so
Throw it
cringy.
away
He's
because
stuck
it's
at the top of the frame.
Oh.
Yep. And he's
Awful.
like cut off. He wasn't even fully visible.
Yeah.
How
It's like, why would you
didn't Matt
include
Reeves
that?
have somebody in the editing room go, bro? I mean, I get it, but we don't have to do that. You could just show him flying around and you'd get the fucking point. We don't need that terrible looking shot. But then that turns into Bruce inexplicably pulling his parachute and getting caught under an overpass and wrecking himself and then just walking away. And I was like,
the suit does a lot of heavy lifting in this movie. It takes a fucking beat.
for sure. For being bulletproof, it also did a pretty good job of protecting him when he slammed into the fucking ground doing like 50 miles an hour.
It was also a very laughable moment where in the very next scene he's got another cape on.
Yeah.
I just for me that sequence was the most jarring to the point of where I was like, they're pulling me out of this.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
You've definitely submerged me and you're really letting me get to the surface before you let me get back down. Like, don't let me breach is what I'm saying.
It does. You do kind of get the sense when he first gets to the rooftop, though, that this might be the first time he's tried that.
Oh, yeah.
So he's not completely sure if it's going to work.
Right.
No, and I there's only so much forgiving I can do like in my head for me putting him in that position and then having him fuck it up so badly. But then you don't have any of that walk away with him. Yeah. So it really doesn't of no consequence one way or the other way.
Though the shot didn't work.
It didn't work.
Yeah, my big issue with that is he has this squirrel suit, correct?
Yeah.
Which you have to imagine at some point in the 2 years that he's been Batman, he's tried to do something like this. Whether or not it was actually as Batman or if he was like jumping out of a plane and doing it. Like, wouldn't you think he should know how to control himself better?
Yeah.
Being 2 years in, the entire length of Christian Bale's Batman career?
Is that what's no.
The parachute thing fucked me all up, dude. 100%. Because I was like, wow, he does not know what he's doing. And then I was like, oh, wait, year 2. Like, that's weak sauce for me.
Yeah. I wish they just kept the cape and like have him glide with the cape. Because
but it seemed like the cape absorbed into him to form it. It's sort of what it seemed like. It seemed like he hit a button and the cape went.
Why couldn't he have just used the cape to glide?
It seemed like it was like an airbag that like busted out from under the armor.
Because he doesn't use the cape to glide because it's literally like a cut up tarp.
It is.
But so going from that, I think my favorite scene from the movie is when he's in the police station.
Yeah.
Because I really like the cheeky kind of banter that he's having with Gordon, and he's like, "I just punched me in the face," and then when he fucking takes off, and then he fucking goes up the stairwell,
up,
and they're all screaming and just shooting.
And the GoPro shot of going up the stairwell,
awesome.
looked immaculate.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No, that was a great one.
Yeah. Like I said, if they had just had him use the cape, I would have been cool with it. But like, I'm not a fan of the squirrel suit. I could throw it away. Like like you said, take that whole sequence versus the shot and just throw it away.
Yeah. Because you just know, like, there's got to be a better and more creative way to get him to the ground. Like, that was literally just like, we got to figure out something they could produce a toy with. Squirrel suit.
That's what it feels like. Other stuff that I did enjoy, if we want to get into favorite scenes, I think it's that Batmobile chase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's all that I've been thinking about.
From the moment it starts and you see it, it's like, fuck.
And like Joe had said to us, because Joe was the first one to see it.
Yeah.
Joe had said the sound design of this movie is incredible. And he is not lying. The sound design, the score, everything, the noise that the Batmobile makes when it started up and you heard that in the theater gave me goosebumps.
In that first scene when Riddler's murdering the mayor and he rips that duct tape, it was so fucking loud, and I was scared actually. Like,
and crystal clear too. Like it was fucking. That's all you heard was. Zzz.
Yeah. Like, the sound design of this movie definitely, besides like how fucking beautiful it is, definitely justifies a theater visit.
Yeah, my theater was loud as shit.
Yeah.
It was so fucking loud.
The speakers in my theater started popping for some dialogue like parts, so I'm not sure if I got the full effect, to be completely honest.
And it was still effective, which is awesome.
But it was still very effective. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's crazy.
The way that this movie sounds is an experience.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm so glad that I got to see it in a theater. I don't know if I'll actually go and see it in theaters again before it's out, but it was an experience for sure. Sound design was definitely one of my favorite parts of this film.
I know we had mentioned like the cinematography being nice and everything looking really good. Do you think they intentionally shot at dawn and twilight on purpose?
No, those shots were I forget what it's fucking called. It was like the LCD room that they used for Mandalorian.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So those were all completely like digital and fabricated.
Okay. No, because I was just thinking, like, are they doing like such an in joke on Robert Pattinson that they are only filming at twilight and dawn? Because there's so many shots of those hours outside that it was just like fucking. But I didn't know that they used that room. That's awesome.
The entire Gotham skyline is fabricated. Like, there's so much like detail to the world that they made in the backgrounds.
Yeah.
The layout of the city is so unnecessarily complicated.
I like it.
From so many of those like overhead shots where there's like that river cutting through the middle of it and shit like that. It just grueling to get around in Gotham City, dude. That's why everybody's so fucking angry.
So I don't want to rain on the Batmobile chase parade, but I gotta be honest with how I was feeling when I was watching it.
Sure.
And I gotta say, to me, it felt very similar to the Batmobile scene in Batman Begins, like the way that it's revealed.
Yeah.
And like, to me, it just felt like the same thing was happening again.
I feel like the execution was so much better, though.
It kind of was.
I wouldn't
say
say better.
I'd
say it's different. I'd say it's different enough.
They're definitely different.
Because I wouldn't put one above the other, because they both have. But they're different. They're different moments tonally, and they mean different things to who's in the scene.
Yes.
Yeah. In Batman Begins, it's sort of used as like a little bit of a comic relief situation. On top of also being an action set piece where the Batman has almost no joy at all.
It doesn't. Yeah.
And almost zero humor. Next to nothing.
I think it's just hidden better.
Yeah, there's definitely moments to be like,
It's not as blatant.
There's no jokes. There's there's
nobody's
literally
happy.
nothing. No.
Like, nobody's happy in this movie aside from that little kid who was trying to go trick-or-treating on Halloween. He comes back and finds his dead dad.
That was also very funny because, like, before you see the parents come in, it looks like it's just a ninja, and you're like, oh man, who's that guy? What's he getting ready for? And it's just some kid.
That's actually a question I had. Was the very first scene is like looking through the binoculars or whatever, and that's supposed to be Riddler, is it not?
Yes.
Now then later on, there's a similar scene where you're looking through binoculars, but it ends up being Bruce, does it not?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, looking at Catwoman.
All right. I thought that was confusing.
Super fucked me up for a minute until I was like, okay.
They had different UI.
I liked what they did in this movie where they took Riddler and Batman and made them two sides of the same coin.
Okay.
Yeah, it was circular.
So I thought that was really cool, really interesting.
Yeah.
I really like how effective it was to finally like see him unmasked, and he's like this very unassuming, like just strange
it's
looking.
super jarring.
Yeah,
it's super jarring
Because
to
he's
just
the
see
Zodiac killer, basically.
him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So just overall, how did you guys feel about Riddler?
Fine. Personally.
I felt like he was underused.
I wasn't jumping up and down about him personally, but it was good, you know.
I definitely found him at first to be terrifying.
Yeah.
They really did a good job in that opening scene with him and really getting the vibe that he's like a fucked up individual.
Right.
But as I think they let him go towards the end of his arc in the film, he just gets like sidelined.
Yep.
And I was like really dissatisfied with that. But I think to their credit, that's supposed to be the way that you continue him forward in future issues by sidelining him at the end. Because for how I felt unsatisfactory, the movie kind of just sputtered out and then credits rolled, which I was just kind of like, oh, okay. I was like, it's definitely going to end now because the score is swelling and there's nothing left to do. And also, we'd been sitting there for a fucking pretty long time. Kind of was like, oh, okay, so Riddler's just like, we put him over here and then we finished the rest of the stories. Seemed like a strange way to end your not origin of this Batman.
Which is why it inexplicably becomes a disaster movie. Because something had to happen after Riddler was locked up.
Yeah. Once the fucking city started flooding, I was just like, all right, fine. We'd have to do the save the city bit. But then I do like after like all the bullshit like henchman fight, I do love the hero moments at the end of that.
Yeah.
Dude, that I really, really liked that scene where he saves the people out of the rubble. And then the shot huge. With the flare and everything, like, that was awesome.
The scene taking it from having the whole city flood and him having to literally save everyone there and instill so much hope in those people and actually put on, like, this hero performance so that people could believe in the Batman, I thought was really cool. It felt like a callback to Zero Year, which was an incredible Scott Snyder comic with the Riddler, where he used the city and like its natural resources against itself. I felt those influences so much throughout that last act.
Whose idea was it to get all of the people in a flood to go to Gotham Square Garden, which is apparently under ground level, as the street level doors and windows burst and immediately flood the stadium area like instantaneously? I was like, why are they in the stadium if we know that it goes down and not up? What the fuck is happening here? The city was
so corrupt that they didn't actually come up with a real emergency plan. They just bullshitted one.
Let's leading off from that. So the city is supposed to be the most corrupt city in this universe. I'm assuming we're led
or
to
any
assume.
Universe. Yeah.
But a 28-year-old girl becomes mayor.
Well, I think the person she was running against was no longer able to run. So she probably run in a landslide.
That doesn't mean they just win.
Well, I don't think that they didn't stop the election from happening, obviously. I think they just were like, oh, vote for the dead guy or the girl? And everybody was like, well, I guess a body is better than nothing.
That's funny.
Unclear.
I personally thought that was a strange thread. I just it didn't sell to me. That's all.
It makes sense because it's 2021 or 2022 at whatever point. You know?
Jordan's like, what year is it?
I don't even know, dude.
Well, yeah, I think like honestly, what Jordan said, I think is true. Like, there's still like people who can kind of like work through the system to try to do better.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, Gordon shows all of the people that he weren't corrupted that were there to arrest Falcone.
They tell us the whole time,
group of 20 of them or something.
Cops, and it's just like, okay, most of the cops are actually okay.
Like on like the whole police force, and there's like 20 guys outside.
It was a very hilarious moment too, when like after Batman learns his lesson of like, maybe I can't beat this city into being better, when he's like, the city is flooded, there will be looting, so I have to be out there. It's like, just let him, man. It's flooded, who cares? those TVs at Best Buy are all ruined anyway, just let him. I saw a post that had suggested that this possibly for a sequel will go into No Man's Land because of the flooding. Okay,
I can see that.
No Man's Land is a fucking awesome arc.
I think it would be cool
awesome
if Nolan hadn't already done that.
Right, yeah, because he used that for Rises.
Yeah,
and to a lesser extent, that and Arkham City are kind of similar. But so we talked about enjoying Riddler, right? Everybody kind of enjoys this take on him.
I like that he was an extremist, like on Twitter with like 500 Twitter followers, and like he inspired people to do crazy shit. Like that was an interesting take on the character that I didn't expect from the trailers.
Yeah, I like the ways they like modernized elements of Batman.
Yeah. And also he was a scary serial killer. So
so he goes to Arkham.
And you know, when you get locked up and there's other people there, you know.
Oh, you mean the as seen on TV, where you can't get the rights to the character, but you might be able to tease it.
I think they just didn't want to commit to casting.
Yeah, maybe.
To Joe's point about not wanting to commit to casting, I think that they have, because that's what's his name, Druid from Eternals.
Oh, really?
Barry Keoghan, or I might be pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah. That's cool. Who that was.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be somebody. Could be anybody.
I thought this was a spoiler cast.
No,
it's the Joker.
Initially, as he's talking in that scene where, and I don't remember a fucking thing that he said.
Me neither.
It went.
He says like a riddle about being friends.
Because I was just trying to see his face through the bars. Yeah. So all of my focus, like my ears shut off, and all of my focus went into like my eyes to fix it and try to get it. So what do you think though? Like
when you're a clown.
Honestly, I was pretty into it. Like we've had 4 if we count like Adam West Batman on-screen Jokers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like they've kind of like scraped the barrel on the Joker. So like having him be like more true to the comics, like just the kind of like cartoony, like Mark Hamill-y Batman, but like still give him like a gross face, like Dark Knight Batman. I'm pretty on board with it. Like I'm okay with the way that they're kind of embracing the source material and like being gritty and noir, but also just being sincere in how kind of like outlandish this is. And I think just the existence of Joker kind of answers that quandary you had earlier about like what other villains could exist in this world.
Yeah, I mean, allowing Joker to exist,
you have
to. You definitely for sure have to, for one.
Yeah.
But for two, like you also then need to invite some whimsy.
Right.
And the film didn't have any of that yet. So I'm scared to see what a transition and how the tone will work then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think necessarily that this world completely rules out a fantasy element.
Maybe
We
not.
got- just all of-
Venom.
Yes, I was gonna bring that up. Is that what he used?
It was bright
No,
green.
I don't
and it
think
made him
so.
Go crazy.
I
It
definitely
felt
just
like
assumed it was adrenaline.
Adrenaline. It felt like
That's
it was
what I
just
thought.
a shot of adrenaline.
It is adrenaline green.
I don't know because I swear I will never ever be in a situation that I need to use it.
The thing is, this is a Batman movie. I don't see a world where that wasn't Venom.
No,
I kind
that's
of
fair.
agree,
I didn't
yeah.
even think of that. I didn't even think
No,
of
I
that
thought
at all.
that was my first thought.
No.
I got really
But then you're
excited when I
changing
saw it.
what Venom is and where it comes from. So now
Yeah.
you're just creating your own version of it.
Okay,
But there was no...
I mean, he did
this
kind
is
of
a
react
reboot.
like
They're
what
creating their own version.
But why are they like just throwing it in there and just like not
I agree.
explaining
It
any
did
of
seem
it?
it did seem thrown in there. Yeah.
It's an Easter egg. That's
Yeah,
what you do
but-
with Easter eggs. You just throw them in.
to be honest,
But it like
honest, that-
saved him kind of. It was like a
But
Deus
it also
Ex.
almost doomed him. Like he almost went too far
fair.
because he took it.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
having that information, I feel like that works so much better in my head than what happened.
Well, we have to think that the Joker must have done something. So maybe that had to do with it. Maybe he got a hold of... I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah, I mean, who put the Joker in there, right?
Right.
So are we gonna get
Yeah.
like flashbacks in the next movie now? Like,
Speaking of drugs, though, why were the drops in the movie?
Drops.
to just because you need to have a drug that those guys can be moving,
Yeah.
and they don't want to just say heroin because the movie, to I feel like its detriment in several different points, is only PG-13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But they do that in comics all the time where they'll
right.
just come up with a drug
Oh,
that they're
sure.
slinging on
And
the
taking
streets.
stuff orally is so boring.
That's true. It makes it look very exotic, yeah.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Gordon.
So Jeffrey Wright is a really good actor.
Copy McCopperton.
I like him in everything that he's pretty much in.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I like Jim Gordon being the question machine, so Batman doesn't have to talk in the scene. You know, like
That's really what it seemed like.
yeah, he was literally like, it was like batting practice, and Jim Gordon was the pitching machine,
Right.
and he's just like 40 mile an hour question softball. Poof. Batman's just like knocking them out of the fucking park constantly. It just seemed like, I mean, I think that their relationship is pretty interesting considering the scene from the police station and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they both show up to the symbol thinking that the other set it off for them, I think is pretty cool and kind of shows how they're in lockstep thought wise. I like that. But I get that everybody's like losing their minds over Detective Batman, but do we have to sacrifice Jim Gordon at the altar of making sure Batman can do detective work
Right.
because he's just kind of piggybacking?
Yeah. He says at the end, like, you're a good cop. But it's like,
He literally said you're a good cop.
I really
fucking
haven't
lost
seen
my
him be a
mind.
cop. Like, he's just kind of played witness to Batman. detective work.
You're a good cop because you keep breaking the rules to let me do what I gotta
You're
do.
a good cop because you let me do whatever I want.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. No, I liked Jeffrey Wright too. Like I thought he did a good job of towing that line of like what Gordon could be
Yeah.
in like this universe, like of where he's like worried about the reputation that he has as a police officer, but also serving the greater good and helping Batman. He knows he needs Batman to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like, again, with like the Riddler, Jim Gordon felt underdeveloped and underused a little bit.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think like going off of like that, like you're a good cop line, like all of his kind of moments were just that, like, all of his lines are delivered with that, like, growling, like, cop voice. And then, like, it's all just so tropey what comes out of it. It's always like, what do you think that means?
Yeah.
About every single riddle. And, like, first they, like, chase down the penguin thing. And he's just like, oh, Falcone. He's like, Falcone's the rat with wings?
It really seemed like that was just their way of making this Batman more introspective because he didn't have to say those things.
Right.
Yeah.
So he gets to be silent and somebody else in the scene gets to break it down and he's already processing it 3 steps ahead. Like it just seems so weird for some of it to have Jim just like railing off information and Batman just like accepting it.
You say there's no humor, but then I just remember when he holds up the USB and he's like, thumb drive.
yeah, but like delivered in such a way that nobody in my theater like even reacted, let alone like there wasn't like a fucking like like overwhelming like chuckle. Everybody was like uncomfortable.
Yeah, but there's also just like the unspoken like get it.
Yeah.
No, I
and
liked
the humor
it.
was peppered throughout, like you said, but it wasn't to the degree of like any of the other Batman movies. Like every other Batman movie has had like a joke, like 4 laughs.
I feel like the jokes in the other Batman movies really just kind of like froze the story though, because like Nolan's Batman, I like when he's like sarcastic as Bruce, but like whenever they kind of like freeze the story for the joke, it just feels so like out of character for him as Batman.
Hey, I will die on the hill that I'm not wearing hockey pads is one of the greatest fucking lines and the greatest deliveries of any fucking line ever.
I still like when
so
Anne
good.
Hathaway disappears on him on the rooftop in Dark Knight Rises. So that's what that feels like.
Yeah.
Or what does he say when he pulls up with the Batwing?
Oh, this isn't a car.
Yeah.
He says, hell yeah, motherfuckers.
and even doing something so small as putting a coat over a boy's shoulder.
I don't think that was a joke.
It's just Pete Holmes' bad man.
Yeah.
Great series, by the way. If you haven't seen Pete Holmes' fucking Batman videos, you have to watch them.
Might be
They're
my
unbelievable.
Hell yeah.
That's fucking good. So you mentioned Anne Hathaway, who played Catwoman.
Yeah.
We have not talked about Selena Kyle other than who her dad was.
Yeah. Oh my god. Zoe Kravitz.
Far be it from me to eat a hat or something, but like she was a bright spot in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And the score with her made a mood every time she was on screen. And she was really magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked everything that she was involved with because it was all personal to her and that aligned her with Batman, but it wasn't much longer than that. There wasn't a big track for the two of them at that same time, which I thought was awesome because that's how it works with the two of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she said she was going to Bloodhaven, so
Everything about her performance, down to like the way she walks, was done with like such intention.
yes. The way that she
really
walked
loved it.
was like amazing.
Yeah.
Zoe
I love
Kravitz
Zoe Kravitz.
killed it as Catwoman. Absolute star of this film, in my opinion. Really knocked it out of the park, and I'm so excited to see more of her.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of
Yeah.
that character and more of her fighting and doing Catwoman shit.
Yeah.
So cool.
You think she's getting a spinoff?
She even gets to do like her own thing at one point. Like she captures her own hostage, and Batman's like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like that's cool.
And how many times does he take a gun away from her and say no guns?
Right.
Like twice at least, I think.
I
Twice.
love the moment when she puts the contact in and she's freaking out and he's like, "Look at me," as if he's gonna like reassure her, and he's like, "It's working, go."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
the
Dude, the
tension.
contact thing was awesome.
I liked their dynamic that they had
Yeah.
Yeah.
the entire movie. I thought it was believable. I bought into the intrigue between both of them.
Yeah.
The contacts were very cool. However, I was very confused when the contact is not in someone's eye. Didn't they make it a point to say that it didn't work? So then how could, when she was like, I need to talk to you, how did it
I don't know if it
show
was
up?
something with the earbud or what. She did something to activate it. Maybe she had like a severed eye. Maybe she like taped a cat to the ground and put it in the cat's eye.
Oh God, please no. But I'm just saying, like, they left a lot of things ambiguous with
Yeah.
his tech.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to explain that stuff, but you have to kind of give a little introspective into how he got that. Like, I didn't understand how the bat suit could deflect bullets like it's Superman.
What if they shot him in the face?
It's badass though. It's badass when you see it.
Yeah.
It was a risk
Adds
they
a
were
little bit
willing
of
to
light
take.
to the scene, which everybody appreciates.
The suit deflecting bullets is still confusing,
Yeah.
but I think if you're doing it where it feels like it's more based on Arkham, if you're going to have him push into that crowd, he's going to have to be able to eat some chip damage before he takes a fucking
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
And it's
before
also
he
not
loses his ground.
impervious. Like in that, right before he gets in the Batmobile, like he takes
Yeah.
that hit and like he feels it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I feel like maybe there should have just been a little bit more explanation, maybe in a scene between Bruce and Alfred, like, who I
Yeah.
also feel like was criminally underused,
Yeah.
was Alfred.
I'm glad he made it.
And I'm not totally,
He pulled through, man.
I was kind of upset that they decided to keep him alive. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
No, it seemed like a really weird way to include Alfred at all. Like, it almost seemed like you didn't really need him.
No, you did.
Yeah.
You needed him so that he could tell Bruce that
Why do we fall
Thomas
down?
Wayne isn't actually an asshole. He cared about someone.
Well, I also like the Bruce not regarding him as a father figure, even though he did raise him, and then
Yeah.
it takes almost losing him to be like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Alfred.
Yeah.
I did. So, like, Paul had mentioned the scene in the hospital with the two of them, and for me, that was like one of my least favorite parts of the movie.
That was like the
Wow.
heart of the movie.
I loved
just-
it. Yeah, I loved
I
it.
didn't like it.
Really?
Because I don't believe the relationship between them.
Got it.
Because you didn't really see a lot of it. So, like, the fact that he went from being upset to not or whatever, I was just like,
That felt like Bruce.
it felt like Bruce was sitting in that hospital out of obligation.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think it was him like letting down his guard and realizing like he could be vulnerable with Alfred and should be vulnerable with Alfred.
Yeah, I agree.
And like that
That's how I
admission of
read
like
it. Yeah.
I don't ever want to feel like that again, and like with the unspoken thing of like I almost felt like that again when I heard you were targeted in here.
Yeah.
That was like the most like peek into Bruce that we saw because he's just Batman the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there we got like him letting himself be Bruce. And I think that was that was as important to the character as the arena scene to me.
Yeah, I just, for whatever reason, that scene, it felt like at that point, the runtime of the movie was like starting to wear, I felt like.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, we're having another quiet scene in a thing where we're definitely near where we need to start wrapping this the fuck up. So it's gotta, but we're really like spending some time here because it's a long scene, I felt like.
Yeah. I do think
kinda
there's
was.
places in the movie you could and probably should cut. I don't think that's one of them though.
I don't think it is.
Yeah,
either.
I don't think it's one of
Personally.
them. I would have cut some other things and maybe built up their relationship a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah.
That's really it. And because I felt the emotion as Bruce is driving
Yeah.
back to Wayne Manor and he's calling Alfred, like I felt
Yeah.
that. That was very tense. It gave me Arkham Origins vibes.
Yeah.
However, I just didn't believe Alfred would wake up and Bruce would like start grilling him instead of being like, "Oh my
you
God,
okay?"
you just woke
Yeah.
up from a coma."
Yeah.
So maybe that's why.
But he was pissed
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had just been told that one thing that wasn't true that pissed him off.
He's like, who told you that? The fucking crime lord?
I just wish they went all the way with it and actually killed off Alfred, because it would have made the final scene between the two of them so different.
much more
and then I'd be
monumental,
like, oh my God, that makes sense. And maybe Bruce realizes, like, okay, vengeance isn't the way or something. I don't know.
I would have been pissed if they killed him.
No, vengeance isn't the way. Avenging is the way.
I think they might not have been willing to make that gamble to kill off Alfred in the first movie and be like, this Batman doesn't have an Alfred.
Right.
Yeah, but he's for sure going to adopt that kid who lost his dad as Robin, right?
The mayor's son.
Like, it definitely seems like the mayor's son is going to be Robin, right?
No.
I don't think so. I think he just identified with him. Because I also think like this movie is like so referencing and drawing from the source material that I don't think they would go the like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's name is Robin route.
Right. No, and I don't necessarily. I mean, it just seemed an awful lot like Bruce was really resonating with that kid to the point where he seemed like he wanted to talk to him.
No, I think they were just making a point, like, about this Bruce in particular. Like, he's just, it's different the way that he doesn't let go of what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way that he's attracted to trauma, almost.
Yeah.
I did think,
interesting.
like, don't fucking stare at this kid so long in your fucking scary bat costume.
Well, it was almost weirder when he was staring at him
Halloween,
as
Bruce.
it's fucked up. Yeah.
Another bright spot in this movie for me was Carmine Falcone.
Oh my god. Yes, John Turturro.
John Turturro,
Fucking
man.
amazing.
I like forgot that he was in this movie, and then I saw him and I was immediately like, yes, dude, they fucking nailed that character in this movie.
Yeah.
Falcone was awesome, and I thought that the way that they brought the mob into the movie, and like how they kind of really explained the depth of which their corruption is,
I like
and for
it's-
how long it's been going on.
Yeah.
It's not like a new thing where like one person got elected and suddenly it's just like baked into this shit,
Right.
which is like obviously saying something about other things.
I love how it's not like a given to, like, it's uncovered throughout the movie. Like, it really felt like a mystery that was unfolding. And I even like when he's like, we're playing the Riddler's game. Like, I don't have anywhere else to go but where he's leading me.
Right. I really liked Falcone. I liked his ability to, at a public gathering, talk to billionaire Bruce Wayne and then laugh at him.
Yeah.
That's just kind of something that you wouldn't do unless you knew you owned everybody. No, I loved all of that. And I thought it seemed like there were so many references to two that I thought like Two-Face was gonna like somehow in some fashion, if we were gonna get Harvey Dent or something.
They need a new DA.
Yeah, I know. And like what was the club inside of the club inside the club was called like what? Something 44?
44 below, 41.
44. It's doubles. Everything was like
44
doubles,
below.
and I'm sitting there going like, give me Harvey. Give me fucking Harvey right now. And that's who I thought possibly was cellmates or next door neighbors, because it seemed sort of like Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face at first when Joker was talking to me.
The hair I could see, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what the fuck? Why would they revive that? Okay.
Well, even kind of the mouth, too.
Yeah. The scarring on the mouth and like the hair, I was like, is that fucking Two-Face? And then obviously.
And then he was like, and when you're a clown.
I didn't have a problem with the sound of the Joker.
I didn't have a problem with his voice. I just thought it just was funny to me.
It came off as hokey to me.
Yeah, it came off a little hokey to me too. Yeah,
but I'm not against it. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Did you guys see the interview with Matt Reeves where he talks about that scene?
No.
I thought it was really interesting the way he justified it. He was like, I did actually think about cutting that, but he felt that it really underscored Selina's line in the scene prior where she's just like, this city's never going to get better. And then we go and see Riddler and Joker, and they're like, there's trouble brewing in Gotham. Like, there's always going to be something going on in Gotham.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, like, I do like that in a sense. But it was like a little like, I guess we're getting Joker. But he also said in that interview, he was like, I don't know if Joker's going to be in the next movie. I just want people to know he's there.
Yeah.
Which is fair, yeah.
He also doesn't know if he's going to get another movie. But, like, the way he's doing, they're going to get another movie.
He can get another movie. That was probably locked up on the Thursday returns. I feel like they were probably like, all right, well, here's the green light for that. Thursday hit, I think, almost 30 million, right?
The final nail in Ben Affleck's coffin.
and then
they're like 260 now, right?
Yeah, it did really well over the weekend.
Yeah.
But they're going to definitely get a sequel.
Yeah.
And I'll see it. I'll see it, especially because of where we left off with this movie.
Yeah.
Riding off into the sunset.
I think like it's got potential to really like grow into something cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My only fear is that this is now all that we're going to be focused on, and we're stuck here. A lot of people were saying stuff along the lines of like, oh, well, I'm fine with all of the various interpretations of Batman because Batman could be anything. And it's like, yes. However, if this is the Batman that we're stuck with for the next 10 to 12 years, right? We're not going to get another Batman movie. We're not going to get another Batman TV series that's set outside of this continuity.
It's all this Batman. And then he exists disconnected from the other tracks that they have for no reason other than they've decided to partition it arbitrarily.
Yeah, because that's just DC, and DC does stupid shit like that with
shoot
their
themselves
properties.
in the fucking feet. They can't help it. They're like, man, this is all.
So the problem is, like, if you didn't like this movie, you're kind of stuck here for the next stretch. It feels like. So unless Warner Brothers and DC decide to start opening the floodgates and letting different interpretations of these characters exist simultaneously, I don't know. I hope we get more of these more frequently.
Yeah.
Then if that's the case.
Can we not take from 2017 till now to get one of these out? Like, can we get one in 2 years?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see Ben Affleck one more time.
Yeah. And that really to me is like the biggest thing is I don't know that this movie doesn't work with that version of the character.
I don't think it really. Yeah, I think it would have been fine.
It would have been different, obviously.
Right.
But I don't know that he couldn't have done these things. Like, there's no reason why that version of the character could not have been this movie. I feel like.
I agree.
I feel like he would have fought more. My biggest gripe with the movie is that we got good action sequences, but there were not that many of them.
There weren't.
And I was going into it half assuming we'd have some more. What we got was phenomenal and I loved it. But I just kind of felt like it was a little short in that area, especially ending on such a like it just ended. That to me was really dissatisfactory. The way that it just
I love the end.
Ended.
I love the
I don't really like Catwoman, but I'm gonna keep watching in my rearview mirror.
Why did you make me sound like the Joker?
He's in love, but he doesn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly thought this movie was going to be hornier about them than it ended up.
Yeah, me too.
But he's very much like married to the job, I guess.
Yeah.
He almost seems celibate.
At the end of the day, I think this movie just really did a good job subverting expectations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which seems crazy considering what we knew about the movie beforehand.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so do you guys have any final thoughts on the Batman?
It's good. It's good, and I'm glad it's good. Yeah. Those are my final thoughts.
They're gonna put that on
it
the DVD
It better have been fucking good.
It's good, and I'm glad it's good. Paul. That's gonna be on the fucking VHS cover. So final thoughts for me is like, yeah, it's way better than I anticipated it have being. And the score is fucking incredible. And that dude should win an Oscar or whatever they give out for good scores, because he should win all of them.
Michael Giacchino.
Just unbelievable. Like, I purposefully stayed away from listening to that soundtrack because I know you had shared several of the tracks from it, and I just was like, I don't want to feel any of the songs until they want me to feel the emotion that they're trying to convey with it. I don't want to have any idea other than having heard what wound up being the theme song. Just blown away by the use of it throughout. Like I already said, Selena's was awesome. I thought Batman getting a fucking Jaws theme song was incredible. And using it to like really paint the fear of the city with the dark corridors and shit like that. Like super, super, super fucking effective, because you like felt like he was there because you heard the sound that he would be there, but he wasn't. But he could have been. Like, I love that.
Right.
Yeah, to go off the score really quick, Michael Giacchino, his music really reminded me of Nocturnal Animals. And he had that line in the movie about how he's a nocturnal animal. And I was like, I wonder if there is intentionally similarities there.
Yeah.
So if you guys go back and listen to the soundtrack and the score of Nocturnal Animals, it sounds kind of like Selena's theme a little bit.
And the track listings are fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
he does that with all of his stuff. One is called Highway to the Anger Zone, and that made me laugh really loud at like 11 o'clock at night after I left this movie.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, fuck.
I've loved his music since Lost and Fringe and like everything like that.
Yeah, man.
Even his stuff with Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that he's added this intense piece of the Batman mythos, and now he's sectioned it off with names like Danny Elfman and Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
I fucking love the score. I went out to the car and immediately put on Highway to the Anger Zone as I drove home, because I just kept thinking about that. Which, like, we didn't talk about, but like in that car chase scene, it has like a fucking amazing like Mad Max ending of him fucking flying through the flames.
Yeah.
But also, like, a lot of people definitely died there.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody's like, oh, that was Penguin's fault. But then, like, they didn't even need to get Penguin, you find out. So it's like, this was all kind of unnecessary Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why police don't do chases like that anymore.
They don't? They'll just shoot you right away. Anyway.
Yeah. In Gotham.
In Gotham, they would.
Yeah, just in Gotham, nowhere else.
Just in Gotham, nowhere else. Just in Gotham, nowhere else.
World we're like, it's that?
It's not even that. It's just Jordan trying to convince himself of it. It's just in Gotham. It's nowhere else. It's just in Gotham.
But yeah, I loved the detective stuff. I think we were talking recently, or on like some previous episode. Go and listen to all of our episodes.
Yeah.
About how like, I wanted more detective work out of Batman. Like, even like Nolan's Batman, we really only got like the like him doing ballistics on a brick or something. Mm-hmm. This felt like very much like a noir, to the point where like where it got that like blockbuster climax, I was really turned off by like the city flooding and it being like very like, okay, fine, we're just in like a Marvel movie or whatever now. We need to save the city. But then it did come back around. I loved the mood. I loved that there's growth for Batman and Bruce in this movie. Like, he's not the same person leaving it as he was coming in.
Yeah.
He, like, you know, learned a lesson or whatever.
Yep.
I get that they're gonna make a sequel. I don't necessarily need one. I think this is a great movie all on its own. And like Jordan said, I'll go see it because we're probably going to talk about it. So I need to. As long as you guys keep letting me come back.
when it comes out in like 6 more years.
All right.
Yeah. I love.
Welcome to episode 392. The Batman 2.
It's really just like, it seems stupid to say, but it's a great film because of the way it's working on every level. Like the score, the cinematography, the way the score is like threaded throughout and
Yeah.
like surfaces at like the moments when it needs to. It's so fucking amazing. The performances, it just really fires on all cylinders, like a fucking Batmobile.
Like a
With a
damn
jet engine in it.
Batmobile.
Yeah, and like, as much as people were saying like, "Oh, No Way Home should have been like nominated for different awards," I really think this could get like a cinematography award, just
Yeah.
because of how fucking great it is. Plus, like,
Yeah.
I think it should get a score award. I don't know that any of the performances warrant an award, but like, they were fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cast, I think, is one of the strongest things about this movie because they had a lot of big names in it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Robert Pattinson as Batman. I know there's been a lot of talk whether or not he's good, whether or not he's not good. I don't know. I felt like he was incredibly expressive with his eyes. So I think
Yeah, he's got big, meaty whites of his eyes. So,
I think that he did a really good job at portraying this character. But I'm still, like I said, not crazy about the way that this Batman acts and
Yeah.
is portrayed.
do you want to expound on that more though? Because you said that at the beginning, and I wasn't totally sure where you were coming from with that.
It seemed to me like he was just going out there to figure some shit out and go home. He's not driven by anything necessarily externally. He's just like, oh, well, there's a murderer. I got to solve this. He's not
No, he's like,
driven by anything.
he's out there because he's like made it his mission to like clean up the city or whatever, but it's only gotten worse because of the way he's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he even acknowledges the fact that, like, I don't even know if I'm making a difference, which is a good sense of inner turmoil to have, but, like, I don't know. He was making silly mistakes, which I guess you're supposed to show growth or whatever, but, like, to me, that's not Batman.
it's
wanted
unbecoming.
him-
I don't
Batman.
want to see, the fucking perfect weapon out there. I want to see,
No.
I want to see the human in the mask.
Yeah.
And, like, I want to see,
Yeah.
like, this is early days. Like, I think that's why they're like justifying all the mistakes and stuff. But I do want to see him kind of fuck up. And like, I like the like admission that like, I can't be everywhere. But
Yeah.
if I can make them think I could be anywhere,
Yeah.
then I've won. But
Yeah.
also
That's
he
turning
finds
it
out
on
like
its
that's
head.
not enough at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that surprisingly to me, I liked Pattinson more in the Batsuit than as Bruce.
Yeah.
Because
I think you're supposed to get the
they
sense that
really
he does,
they
too.
really choked off like the visual of him in the suit until like the reveal of it, and they really built it and built it and built it and built it so it felt like such a fucking unveiling, and they had created the atmosphere so then you get the presence because
Yeah.
of the atmosphere they've created.
And he spends so much time in the suit.
Yeah.
Did we get-
and not necessarily taking off his fucking helmet every 5 minutes to do the back and forth dialogue
Right.
bit and then put it back on so that fucking stunt guy can get in it. Like he actually wore the suit for most of it, which I appreciate.
What did you guys think of the suit?
I thought the suit was really cool once you see like that it's functional and that those are metal plates, and I still don't quite understand why he's wearing at least some leather, it seemed like, on the cowl.
Yeah.
The cowl to me is still like the worst part of it, but you really do get his big expressive eyes in it. I just the silhouette of him from the side does not, especially just like doesn't project strength necessarily, and I just kind of prefer Batman to be like the peak physical form of a human because that's what he like trains for.
Yeah. That and
Canonically.
and I think another reason that I'm hesitant to accept this version of Batman is because we didn't get to see a lot of physicality with him.
Yeah.
And when I think Batman, I think he's a physical specimen. He's supposed to be this intimidating, imposing figure, and I wish they leaned into more stealth stuff, but he just kind of like shows up and beats people up and then leaves. I don't know.
That's most of the sense I get from Batman. But I also like when I think of Batman, I think world's greatest detective. So like number one as a detective movie is what I look for, and I think that's what I got. I do understand that that's not. You guys are like a lot bigger fans of Batman than I am, so I think I do understand that that's what you came looking for. So
yeah, I just wanted more action. That's all.
And I think that the world's greatest detective thing is great, and I think they nailed it in this movie. My problem is it's just a section of what Batman is to me in my head, and not the whole thing. Exactly. Yeah. So will that get better over time? Maybe, but like with the movie that we got, I wasn't satisfied with.
I felt like I had gotten what I wanted to see as far as his physicality goes. Like I probably think the worst of the costume out of the four of us. I think the ears look silly. Mm-hmm. The cowl from the back looks silly. The cape, the cape is just straight up bad in my opinion. It's too short. It's not scalloped at the ends. I know that.
It's
not. He's like wearing Doc Martens basically. Like I don't know. Like people like it and that's cool, but I really thought they sold to me that he was capable of kicking ass because he was like lightning fucking fast and he didn't give a shit about, he just showed up at the fucking door and you know what I mean? So
the confidence level.
I think they made up for it for me personally.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I think that my issue with him is still just him as Bruce. Like I feel like that's such an integral part of playing Batman. Mm-hmm. And I felt like Val Kilmer in Batman Forever vibes from Robert Pattinson's Batman. Like, I feel like you could probably just replace them with one another and they probably would have been very similar. I don't know. Him as Bruce is probably my least favorite part of what we got. Like everything else was like riding high. And whenever he was Bruce, I was kind of like, all right, well, can we just fucking get back to the shit that I'm agreeing with? Can we just let me agree with you, please?
I think just because like you had to see what he did during the day. But yeah, I do agree. Like that's not, I don't think that's what like final Bruce should be, but I felt like where they had painted him at this time in his life, that made sense to me.
Yes.
I am very interested like going forward now that he's kind of like learned like Bruce Wayne can be as much like a part of changing the city as Batman
what he's gonna do. Yeah.
I am interested to see if he makes himself more of a public figure. And I do hope that like in another movie that they do kind of go that route a little more.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Yeah, I'd hope
I mean, like I said, you go into a movie like this and you get one shot. Because you're not guaranteed a sequel. Yeah, but you're not guaranteed a sequel. So like,
especially with how like precarious DC is right now.
Yeah,
exactly. So to me, making these kinds of choices to be like, well, we'll get there, and it's like, okay, well, you're writing a check that I don't know if you can necessarily cash yet.
Mm-hmm. I think also like the idea of like staying away from the crossovers did this movie a lot of favors. Like I think they let Matt Reeves do his movie.
They gave him all of the leeway in the world to make whatever universe he wanted to make out of Sunshine and Rainbows. Yeah. He was given a fucking golden goose to do what he wanted with in this franchise, where this fucking company wouldn't dream to do that to people that fucking worked there before him and had such a bad fucking time there that he was the beneficiary of all of it. It's fucking bullshit.
Well, it's good for Matt Reeves. It's not his fault.
Yeah, great for fucking Matt Reeves. I'm happy for him. Bad for everybody else that liked any other incarnation of characters that existed previous to this universe existing.
Yeah. But it's a proof of concept that like if you let the creator like do something,
you would think DC would be like, huh, that sounds like a good idea. We'll hire a visionary to be the. Oh wait, never mind.
Well, at the end of the day, my biggest gripe with this film is Warner Brothers and DC.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So that's it. at the end of the day.
I'm mad that they stayed out of this one. Why didn't they get their fucking grimy hands into it?
Why didn't they
What the
shorten it to 2 hours?
We've got a sequel coming, baby.
Force that shit down to 2 hours, baby.
Did you get your final thoughts though, Jordan? Or was that the branch off of yours?
I didn't.
I think it was the tree off of the branch of his.
Yeah. But overall, I did like this movie. I really liked the cinematography. I really liked the lighting and the use of shadows in particular. The openness of the frame and being able to linger on stuff and have moments linger, have that camera linger.
3 hours worth of lingering.
A lot of lingering.
I really enjoyed that because it really set the mood and the tone, and it made Gotham feel like Gotham. The car chase in the rain was incredible.
Everything in the rain. All the rain.
All of the rain. That shot of Oz in the rain, really.
Yeah.
But I would say if that wasn't my favorite scene would be the funeral scene where the car crashed through. They just did a great job, and I wish they did more. I wish we had more action. The score is incredible. We'll see what we get in the second one.
Guys, did you like this score?
I loved it.
I also
Guys,
felt
what's
like
a
the lack
score?
of action made like what we got more like savory.
Yes.
Because I think there's a decent amount of action here. I just think it's not, bogged down by every single sequence having an action shot in it.
Yeah. No, I mean, they went for it in the action set pieces that they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like for whatever reason, I was anticipating more and was surprised to not get that.
Okay.
But now we ask you guys, what did you think of the Batman? So hit us up. Let us know on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Pop Cannon or the Pop Cannon Collective, our Facebook group. Follow us, drop us a line, and let us know what you thought.
If you'd like to subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast platform, we're available on pretty much all of them. You could also subscribe to the YouTube, where you could see our glowing, beautiful faces discuss these movies and TV shows all the time.
If you like our brain thoughts and you want to hear some more of them, not just about this stuff, you can find us on other platforms, most of us. I am at Joe for Broke on Twitter and Instagram. I recently started reading Naruto, so that's most of what I've been tweeting about. And I also stopped caring that my boss follows me, and I tweet whatever I want now.
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
Sign
the
up
dream.
So if that's what you're into, come on down.
Follow Joe for the fireworks. You could find me, Robert, on Instagram and Twitter at Yesball.
My brain thoughts are on Instagram. Paul Shannon 354?
354.
Something like that.
I forgot that you made an Instagram finally.
And if you would like to, I am on Twitter and Instagram at JL24FPS. So yeah, hit us up over on there. Let us know what you thought of the Batman. Join our Facebook group. Let us know what you're doing, and make sure you're voting in our most infamous villain tournament.
That's happening right now.
Shit.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
And let us know how you're doing.
Yeah, let us know how you're doing. None of the other podcasts ask how you're doing.
None of our
We
listeners
care.
ever call anymore.
Call and leave us a voicemail on our Anchor page. That's a real thing, and
Is it
we
really?
might or might not respond back.
If you call in, we
We'll
will
definitely
answer
listen.
you on the podcast. That's a
Joe, don't make promises you can't keep,
That's
okay?
a Joe for Broke guarantee.
Hell yeah.
Well, anyway, thank you very much for watching and or listening. For Pop Cannon, my name is Jordan.
I'm Robert.
Paul?
Follows them. I am Joe.
And we will see you on the very next episode.